All right, hello. This is welcome to our YouTube channel from the Salt Lake City Crusaders, an armored combat team within the United States in Utah. So here we are today. We're going to talk about armored combat, things related to that, and then some commonly asked questions that we get from people who are new to the sport or come up to us because it is quite different. Most people haven't seen it, and so we get a lot of the same questions. Today we're going to do that. We're going to answer some of these questions. My name is Grant. I've been fighting on the armored combat team in the sport for about 3 years now, and
you were the chapter president.
Yeah, I was a former chapter president and currently one veteran fighters on the team.
He's very modest.
Right, and we can introduce ourselves from moving this way.
Hi, I'm O2. I run the training program for the Salt Lake City Crusaders, and I'm more of an all-around fighter. I don't really have too much specific traits that I go for. Longsword is fun.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Hey guys, my name's Austin. I'm the business development and marketing side of things on the team, and here's my helmet here. I'm kind of, even though I wouldn't necessarily look like it for my size right now, I'm kind of the tank of the team. I have a very bulky, sturdy armor, and I really like to get into the fights with grappling.
Yeah. I'm Kendra. I do a lot of management and secretarial work. I run the outer armor programs like Smart program and things like that, and kind of just like the team mom. Make sure you have water, sunscreen, that sort of deal. So.
And then you can't see me, but I'm behind the camera. I'm Philip. I'm the chapter president. I might jump in every once in a while.
Yeah.
We can edit that if we need.
All right. So today, so if you haven't heard or if you're unfamiliar with the sport, armored combat is a sport that's practiced worldwide. It's fairly new and recent in the United States. It's much more prevalent in Europe. It's sometimes called Buchert over there. There are various leagues and organizations that put on events and tournaments. So, our team, the Salt Lake City Crusaders, competes in the Armored Combat Worldwide, or ACW. There are also other organizations. There's the HMB, Historical Medieval Battle. You've probably seen some videos or heard of Battle of Nations. There's the IMCF, which is the international organization that puts on world level tournaments, usually in Europe. And so there are all sorts of events, all sorts of tournaments that happen at a local level, all the way up through world level events where various countries come to compete and send the best there. So we're here at a local level in and around the Salt Lake City area of Utah. But we have a few questions that a lot of times people come to us and they want to know the same things. And so we have a few questions. Just answer them for you guys here. The first one is, how do I get started? We get this all the time. So when someone asks you, how do I get started, what do you normally say, Austin?
Well, I like to kind of tell them my story of getting started because I think it's my experience was very, very common for a lot of people. I went to a local Renaissance fair that was being put on in Lehi, Utah. This event's put on every year. Go there one year. In the last 5 minutes before I'm going to leave, I see this corner where there's guys in medieval armor just fighting like in MMA. They're punching, they're hitting, they're kicking, they're throwing each other. And then I literally see a guy charge a dude like in football and smash him through the wooden fence that was keeping everyone there. So I just thought that was the coolest thing I ever saw. But the fair had just ended. I made sure to come back the next year, saw them fighting, and then the announcer actually asked if anybody wanted to participate. He let me kind of come into the backstage area where everyone was getting ready, and I was able to pay and fight with them. So, I got to see the event and then was able to start participating pretty quickly.
Yes.
So normally it comes from some kind of interaction. I actually saw a YouTube video and I was very curious about it, and I was like, this sport didn't, what is the sport? I ended up, doing a little research to find out if there's a team close to me, and sure enough there was. And so that's usually what we do, is we suggest you to go to your whatever local team or chapter is closest to you. We will have some links below to both our website and contact information, and then other ones throughout the U.S., or if you're outside the U.S., there are some organizations out in your area that I'm sure you could find. So yeah, just reaching out to the local chapter, and they'll usually kind of get back to you with some of these same things of how to get started.
But Grant, how would I find my local chapter in the first place?
The link's below.
We do. There are some maps that you can go around. At least the Armored Combat Worldwide has a map across the U.S. and even the world. to show you what cities have teams.
Yeah.
So unfortunately, if you live in the middle of Montana, you may not get a lot of local teams. But if you live in a bigger area, more than likely there's a team with a relative, driving distance from where you are.
We do have a couple guys in Montana. We just started a chapter there.
See, Montana. Even if you're in Montana,
Even if you're in
you can
Montana.
find a team.
Hope you
Or
just didn't
some- a
offend
couple
everyone in
people.
Montana, like all
Sorry.
the person in Montana.
Montana's great.
It's
Awesome.
beautiful.
So O2, when they ask to come to a practice, because usually we refer people to come to a practice and actually meet the team, see it for yourself. So when someone wants to come to their first practice, what should they bring?
Well, you want to bring athletic gear like some breathable clothes you can move around in. If you are going to get into armor, you have to make sure that you've paid your membership and wear a cup. Some people use mouth guards. They can be hard to breathe in. I wouldn't wear a mouth guard myself.
It just depends. Once your helmet's fitted to you, you shouldn't need one. But if it's not fitted to you, if you get hit in the mouth with the helmet, it's nice sometimes to have it. But it's up to you.
It's optional. So usually our practices consist of some level of exercise, so physical training, and then some technique training. And if you do happen to have armor yourself, or someone allows you to borrow some loaner armor, then you can actually get in and go through some techniques and some live sparring with armor. And so usually some athletic gear. We usually encourage cameras to take videos and pictures, because it's always great to document your training and practice, because we oftentimes use filming to improve our own techniques and get better.
Yeah. Most of the time, there's normally at least one really nice guy who lets everyone borrow their armor. Someone who may be a tank on the team, and the armor can really hold up to a lot of people hitting it. So, yeah.
So you don't need armor to join right off the bat. Usually there's a transition period. So you can still train and get better. Technique is always learned usually prior to the actual donning of armor.
Yep.
Yeah.
But we also have something called a Squire program. Kendra,
Yes.
you want to tell us about the Squire
I
program?
would love to tell everyone about the Squire program. I'm very passionate about it. The Squire program is basically a prep for getting an armor. I mean, you guys know about it, you've seen it, worked with it. But basically, it goes through the structure and the rules of our organization, and then it goes through the different pieces of armor, how you care for armor, how you pick historical periods, what kind of metal you use, how until you get armor you function at competition as a support member. All those different things that really bring you into being a part of the team and really prepare you to own your own armor and know what you want when you go talk to a blacksmith about this is the kind of armor I want and get started in that process.
When I first joined, the Squire program didn't exist, and so when I wanted armor, I wanted what I thought looked cool. And oftentimes, what you don't realize is that armor's what you want before you get in sometimes isn't what you want after you get in.
Yep.
And so the Squire program gives you some time to actually familiarize yourself with the sport, with the little intricacies that come with using armor, wearing armor, maintaining armor, and paying for it. And so when you go through the Squire program, it gets you more familiar and ready.
Yeah,
as a
well, I
fighter.
remember the first time me and my husband Philip went and talked to a blacksmith. He was like, well, what kind of metal do you want to use? I'm like, I don't know, I don't know, like some sort of steel. He's like, well, we got different kinds of steel, or what kind of helmet do you want? Well, that doesn't fit with that century, right? And so there's all those things that kind of help you at least have a basic knowledge when you go in and talk to someone, about the armor.
Yep.
It helps.
Where do you get armor? There are a variety of places you can get armor, and there are rules to what you can use, what thicknesses, what styles, things like that. And so certain armors will have armor that's sport optimized, like the ones we use. And everybody has their own preference. That's what we're just gonna say. There's some people that will swear by a certain armor, and other ones that don't. We're gonna have some links below to some of the common places that we actually get our armor.
Yep.
Some of our trusted armorsmiths,
Blacksmiths?
blacksmiths,
There
person who makes armor.
we go.
We have some trusted ones that we will provide some links down below that we use and we like. And whatever local chapter you have, they're usually going to have some sources that they like and prefer. But always, always, always,
Always. Always.
Always.
Always.
capital letters.
At least once.
In red.
Ask your local chapter president or some of the veteran fighters on your team before you actually buy it.
Yeah.
So much money could be saved if you do that.
Yeah. Not to mention, if anyone watching this channel happened to see The Witcher, there's a very popular scene in that show where an armored soldier comes running up to somebody and they take an axe, and the axe slices through their metal helmet like butter. That should not happen, but there are some armor makers who may give you the impression that that will not happen until you start fighting, and then it will.
And then it's too late.
So we, as has been described, We have some of the most trusted, most high quality people in the links below, and there are still definitely a lot more than that, but this is why you need to look at it. There have been a lot of people who have been hurt one way or another, whether seriously or mildly, because they just decide to go for something cheap or untested, and that's just not the way to go.
No, not with your first set.
So, as far as armor goes, how much is it? And then how many blows can it take? So what is the durability of it?
Well, if it's done by a good armor smith, pretty much indefinitely. I mean, you're banging out hits and you're cleaning it, like getting rid of rust and putting in new rivets. But I mean, Philip got his armor 13 years used, and it's still kicking and doing great. So it's kind of got an indefinite lifespan if it's cared for and made for the sport.
Quality armor will last.
Maintenance goes a long way too.
Yeah.
It's all in how you take care of your armor.
But how much is it? Usually they'll run anywhere between about $2,500, $3,000 up through about $5,000. So you're looking at 3 to 4 on average.
I mean, yeah, if you just have money to blow, there's a guy in England that does suits for 30 grand.
Yeah.
So if you just have 30 grand, you want to
35 and 30. Yeah.
No one does.
One of the more
Nobody does
expensive
it.
suits of armor that we have is about pushing $10,000. We don't expect anybody to have
No.
$10,000. I don't have $10,000
No.
to spend on armor,
I think anyone does
and
here.
so most of us are usually in the lower range. One thing you will have to take into account is the quality and the fit of the armor.
Yes.
That will determine the price.
Mhm.
And
then
the
the
time
style.
period, the style. Those like really fancy gothic styles get expensive.
I'll give you an example. Certain types of armor take more labor to make, and so very laborious made armor is going to cost you a lot more money. And then custom fit stuff. So a full plate cuirass that is tailored to your body measurements and proportions, that will run you a lot more money than say a Brigandine style chest piece that has some fit and flex to it. And so whatever style of armor you get, a lot of the common ones you see are Brigandine style chests because of the price point at which you can buy those, and then the ability to wear that across different body sizes.
Yeah, that question in and of itself could easily be 20 videos, 30 videos.
It probably will be in the future.
but-
We might have some other videos about types of armor or where you get it or some other little details
Yeah.
about that.
Yeah, they'll come to you in the future.
So, are weapons real?
Yes,
Are the weapons real?
they're definitely real.
Can you hit it? It's okay, cat.
Scared the cat. Yes, weapons are real.
Yeah.
We just have certain rules about them. The swords are not sharp. They're not pointed.
Mhm.
We have them rounded and blunted to certain measurements to ensure our own safety because safety is important. It's a sport. We're there for tournament, for competition, for fun. We're not there to kill each other. And no, people don't die.
No. Usually there's
shouldn't.
just bumps and bruises.
Yeah,
a lot of
there's-
bruises, but serious injury is actually quite rare.
Sometimes you get cut, but not always.
And it's normally from your own armor.
I've injured myself more doing maintenance on my armor and cutting out my little nick or a burr than I have actually in the ring.
Yeah, this past week I bruised a knuckle punching someone.
Oh, you poor baby. I'm
You
sorry.
bruised the wrist case and
Oh, you hurt yourself punching?
So that leads us into our other question. Does it hurt getting hit? Does it hurt getting hit, O2?
Yeah,
Well, that's like a general question. Does it hurt getting? It always hurts getting hit. I mean, but it's to certain degrees. Like when you're wearing armor, it's not going to hurt as much as when you're not wearing armor. I got hit in the forehead, and it didn't hurt a whole lot, but it left a mark. This was more of just a registered. Oh, that connected. Doesn't always hurt. If you get hit in the gap, a gap is a section of your body that's not covered by armor. So if you get hit in the gap really good, that can sting a lot. But if you get hit in the armor works. Armor's not. You get hit in the armor and it's not going to really affect you that much, depending.
See, this is my helmet and I've had 0 head injuries. But those little spaces in between the steel, I have had countless shoulder bruises, I will say, or hand bruises, or whatever. So armor can hurt, it just depends. Are you getting hit by someone who is very strong and can hit very hard, has great technique? Are you getting hit in an armored place? What weapon is being used?
Are you getting
There are lots of variables that go into the actual pain level.
Yeah, a lot. If anyone who's watching this has done boxing, done MMA, done football, you know that the way that you were moving when you got hit matters. Whether you were paying attention to the hit matters. And honestly, it's not that much different from these other sports. You just need to know that this metal, there's a reason that for so many thousands of years, people were using this in warfare. It genuinely stopped the hits, stopped the pain, and was able to continue. Yeah, we still have modern body armor that still is used to block knives, to block projectiles. Like we have body armor that stops guns now. So
Well, and as someone who arranges the EMTs, for events, I see a lot of times less injuries, like serious injuries in this sport than I would see in football or MMA.
It's
Because
true.
armor does work. Like, are there injuries? Yes, there's injuries in every single sport. But generally, I just see bumps and bruises. And
Yeah.
maybe overheating.
Yep.
It's hot nose.
yeah, it's been my experience.
So Kendra, what
Yeah.
could you explain some of the different events that we do?
We do, basically, it can all be separated into two events, melees and duels. Melees are a team versus a team fight, usually around 5v5s, and the team wins by basically getting all the other team members on the ground, or most of the team members on the ground. That's how you win a melee, is being the last team standing. However, the rules are no pulling off helmets, which we do have things to prevent that even if it did happen, but don't go around trying to pull off people's helmets. No vertical strikes down the spine, no hits to the back of the knee, no stomping on the calf, no groin shots. Don't do that.
But Kendra, if I can't do all of that, how am I supposed to get someone on the ground?
You get really good at grappling, like Grant, and throw them.
Get good. No,
Get
no,
good.
no. Where do you
Get
find?
good, Austin.
We obviously have methods of
Yeah.
referencing these rules, and so whatever league or organization that you're fighting in has a particular rule set. Most of the time, they're the same for the most part, with certain differences.
Yeah.
So if you're fighting in the HMB, you'll find some slightly different rule sets, say, than the ACW that we fight in.
Yeah.
We have a rule for a retention strap on the helmet to secure the helmet to your armor so it doesn't accidentally come off in the middle of a fight, or we allow smaller gaps over the eyes and mouth, whereas other organizations will allow slightly larger ones, levels of authenticity for those. Usually we like to stick within a 50-year, roughly, time frame to a particular region as far as your armor goes and styling. So there are rules and rule sets, and you can find those on the websites of the organizations
Hello.
that you fight in.
Yeah. And then duels rules. I think you
Oh,
would be
yes.
the person to go over duels rules.
Duels.
Rules.
So,
duels rules.
Duels rules.
Duels. A duel is a one-on-one fight, and we score that differently. It's usually point-based, and we go within a series of rounds, timed rounds, and of the same weapon fighting. So usually, at least in ECW, we have longsword, sword and shield, pole arms, and a sword and buckler. Here in the Salt Lake City, we have an affinity for great swords. So we like to pair up duels for exhibition matches and whatnot. But as far as competition goes, longsword, sword and shield, and polearm are the most popular.
Yep.
O2 here does likes
Long swords.
longswords, so
Yeah.
do I. We have a lot of longswords here in
Good place to be if
It's
you
all
want to do long swords.
and some sword and shield that happens as well.
Yep.
Austin here likes the buckler a whole lot, especially nowadays.
I absolutely do. And in the United States, sword and buckler isn't quite as popular. In Europe, there's definitely plenty of sword and buckler tournament or duels that will be medaled. Not super popular in the United States quite yet, but they're a blast to watch.
Austin's working on that.
Does size matter in fighting?
Oh, dude, does size matter?
Yes. Yes, it does.
Size matter.
The size matter.
Body size. Body
size.
size in this sport.
So personally, I find it a little easier to fight somebody even my height or shorter than it is for me to fight somebody taller than me, simply for the fact that it's harder to hit them in the face, which for some reason, I don't know, I just like to hit people in the face. It's also harder to grapple them, because generally the technique for grappling is you grab them behind their head, or you hook underneath their arm. Yeah, don't pull off the helmet. You grip them over their shoulder and underneath their other shoulder, so that way you have maneuverability and you can leverage their body. It's a lot harder to do on somebody that's taller. That, and unfortunately in Utah we're kind of short, so we don't have a whole lot.
Not all
of tall
people in
fighters.
Utah, just some of the fighters on
Yeah.
the team.
But, we're faster.
So this question, just like if you're seeing a pattern, it depends on the circumstances of the person. When the size matter, what matters most is actually athleticism and how in shape you are and what techniques you use.
I think a great example of this is Jake. I mean, love him to death, but he's not like this big,
Veteran
broad
team.
guy. He's a guy on our team, yeah. He's one of our veteran fighters, and he's, a skinny, tall guy.
Yep.
But he is quick. And man, is he a great flanker. And so, we need different types of people on the team. We all can't be the same shape as Grant, or else it's not to be.
Variety helps in it, especially in the team melees. Certain body styles or body types or levels of fitness will give you an edge in certain levels of the sport. So we will always promote getting in shape. We will always promote exercise, cardiovascular exercise, strength training, explosiveness. So your athletic ability is going to be very important for you. So just because you're short or you're small doesn't mean that you can't compete or you can't fight.
I would say the biggest indicator on how successful a fighter will be in the ring is if they work out outside of practice. Those who work out consistently and a lot outside of practice almost always have good, consistent performances in the ring.
Yeah, there's one of the most famous fighters in armored combat in the whole world is on the French team, and he's actually a fairly small guy compared to the average height of a lot of the people, but he gets some of the best and highest number of knockdowns, leading his team to success. So it's a lot like football. Every single person can't be a linebacker. Every single person can't be a lineman. You need quarterbacks. You need cornerbacks. And as we'll definitely describe in other videos, there's positions to this. There's things that it's not just people smashing up against each other like monster trucks. There's a lot of technique.
It may look like a chaotic brawl, and in a lot of ways it is, but there is a lot of technique. There's a lot of strategy that goes into it. Most of the time it's just enacted in the moment rather than, pre-planned strategies. But like we said, you take what you have and you use it to your advantage.
Yep.
If you're a big guy and you're really strong, focus on that and use what you have available to you to become a better fighter. So if you're small, you're short, you're skinny, even if you're out of shape and kind of overweight, you can still be a good fighter. You can still improve. You can still train.
Armor's a great way to get in shape.
Who fights? Is it just men or is it also women?
Women do fight. I'm not a very consistent fighter. I have gotten in armor and fought. It's a lot of fun, but there's not as many women as men, so we tend to more have regional women's teams, but we have a very good regional women's team in this area. I mean, we have Shoshona, who's been to Worlds, and I think Kyla has as well, and Laurel. So we have some awesome women. They're a lot of fun, but yes, women can absolutely get in the sport. Salt Lake has a large growing women's team.
But Kendra, I've heard in various parts of the internet that women are not strong enough to wear armor and to fight like men do.
I think your wife would contradict you.
She would, because my wife also fights. But I've heard these things.
It goes with that lineup. It kind of depends. I mean, I've seen women in the sport that are bigger than you, right?
That's actually true. I'm 5'11". There's a number of the women who are like 6'1" and fight.
Yeah, like there's some big women in the sport, and then there's people like me who are 5'0" and 125 pounds, right? Who aren't big, and so it's playing to your strengths. Like I'm not going to outmuscle a 6-foot woman. I have to be faster than them, and so it just depends on your size. But there are absolutely women.
Just like every other sport, there are you see women basketball players, you see women. And there are women and men that both fight in armor.
Yeah.
And at various levels of skill. It's the same across the board. It's just there happens to be a lot more men in this sport. But if you're a woman and you want to fight, you can most definitely fight.
Go Lake Below. We'd love to have you.
In the Salt Lake region, we have a number of women who fight here. Like for real, come and see what it's like.
Yeah, we have fun.
My wife is one of them.
Okay. To wrap up here, my last question is usually say, what is your favorite part? What do you like most? You go through. I like the competitive and unique sport that it is. I like combat sports. I love armor and weapons, and it's just a big, good combination that I love to work and train in. What is your favorite part about armored combat?
So my favorite part is I've never been able to hit somebody and not get in trouble for it. Like every time I've hit somebody just about in my life, I got in trouble, somebody called the cops or something. So
don't hit people.
Now I get to hit, yeah, don't do that, it's bad. But now I get to hit people all the time, and they actually love it. And so what? So my favorite part is I get to go out and I get to hit people. It's great therapy, it's great exercise. It's just a ton of fun.
Do we need to get you help?
This is my help.
Okay, just checking. Just checking.
I need help before
People need help from him.
Yeah. Fair enough.
Awesome.
Yeah, on that note, for me, since I was younger, I've wanted to do some type of combat. I think a lot of guys, just growing up, there's certain things that are kind of geared towards us that we watch, that we play with. You think to yourself, like, what if I got into a fight? What if I had to defend myself? Could I use a weapon to do that? All of these things are part of it, and at the end of the day, whether you've won or lost, you're going to be able to have a great time, and that's the biggest thing that I've loved, is that I've won some fights, I've lost some fights, I've been able to test like the extremity of what I can do as a man and as a fighter, and there's so much more for me to grow in, even being here for 2 full years. I feel like I've just gotten into the very tip of the iceberg, and I have so much more that I could and should do to have fun.
If you got a street fight, as long as you had a mace, you're set.
That dude would not do well if I had a mace.
I don't recommend this for just self-defense training, but
Yeah.
it is a fun, unique sport.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm sure a lot of people grew up just sword fighting with sticks. I was one of them,
Yeah.
and now I get a sword fight with actual swords. It's a lot of fun.
Yep.
Kendra.
Well, I think kind of 2 things. I mean, the swords. I mean, the armor. I'm a huge
Who
lord.
doesn't like a big sword?
Yeah, I mean, who doesn't like a big sword? But also just like I'm a huge Lord of the Rings nerd, so that helps, like the armor. But I think also the big thing for me, and the reason I come back is the camaraderie. Like we have a lot of fun. We hang out a lot.
Mhm.
You know, we have a darn good time. Gosh, you can talk from Utah. We have a darn good time, but
Gosh, darn good time going on over here.
but you know, we just have a good time with great friends on and off the field, and I think that's what I enjoy most about it, to be honest.
Yeah, most people, if you ask, the camaraderie level in armored combat in general is really high. We may look like we're out to kill each other out within the list when we hit each other and fight, but off the field, we're great friends.
We're all getting dinner together.
There's
after.
something about hitting somebody with a sword. They either become your worst enemy or your best friend. So
You just
Sword,
suffering. It's
axe,
fun.
mace,
Yeah.
shield,
Anything.
whatever weapon it is.
Exactly.
We fight, we have fun, and both in and out of armor.
Mutual suffering leads to bonding. I mean.
Anyway, those are some of the questions. Unfortunately, we're out of time today. We will come out with some other videos. If you have other questions, make sure to comment and ask us or let us know what you want to
Yeah,
know,
what kind of content you want to see?
what's cool. You will see more from us. And again, we're the Salt Lake City Crusaders. If you want to see some of our other content, we do have other social media platforms like Facebook and Instagram.
Other
Go to our
kingdoms will be
pages.
below.
So make sure to look us up more and check out a lot of the cool things that we like to do.
Yeah, let's make sure we get that like and subscribe as well. All right, guys. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you very much.